You live alone deep in a medieval forest because charcoal burning works best far from town, where smoke, silence, and bad decisions can mature together. The trees surround you endlessly, and the quiet feels less peaceful than threatening, like the whole forest is waiting for your next mistake. Your job sounds simple. Turn wood into charcoal, which is a polite way of saying you spend days babysitting a controlled underground fire. You begin by stacking cut logs into a giant mound, because one sloppy gap means too much air, and too much air means financial disaster. Then you cover the mound with dirt and turf, basically tucking a wooden grave into bed and hoping it dies slowly enough. Once the fire starts inside, everything changes, because now you cannot really leave without risking the entire mound collapsing into useless ash. The smoke rises in slow gray ribbons, and your whole future suddenly depends on whether that smoke looks normal enough to trust. You stare at it constantly, because charcoal burning is less craftsmanship and more suspiciously intense fire-related paranoia with dirt under your nails. There are no supervisors out here, only you, the forest, and the sinking realization that failure has no witnesses but still costs everything. The smell gets into your clothes immediately, then your skin, then your lungs, then apparently your entire personality for the next decade. Even your food starts tasting faintly like burnt wood, because the smoke now lives with you more faithfully than most medieval friendships. At night, the mound still smolders, which means you do not sleep properly so much as collapse nearby and remain professionally worried. Rain is a problem because wet soil shifts, wet wood resists, and nature clearly sees your job as an insult worth sabotaging. Wind is worse, because one strong gust can feed oxygen into the mound and turn careful work into a dramatic flaming humiliation. The forest creaks in the dark around you, and every noise feels personal when you are alone beside a breathing hill. You realize quickly this is not a town job with evenings off. This is a full-time relationship with smoke and controlled decay. By the second day, routine settles in, and your life becomes checking vents, shoveling dirt, and pretending you understand what the fire actually wants. If this already sounds miserable, hit subscribe, because history somehow found endless ways to monetize suffering with impressive consistency. You circle the mound repeatedly, looking for cracks where smoke escapes too fast, because escaping smoke usually means escaping wages as well. When you spot a leak, you rush over with dirt and shovel, patching it like a panicked surgeon operating on a smoking patient. Sometimes the smoke turns darker, which means something inside changed, and now your stress level rises faster than the temperature. You kneel, listen, tap the mound, and make decisions based on instinct, because the official handbook for this job is apparently just despair. The tools are simple: a shovel, some dirt, and your questionable ability to guess what is happening underground at any given moment. There is no exact method, only experience, which mostly means remembering every mistake you already made painfully and trying not to repeat it. You eat beside the mound because leaving it unwatched feels risky, so lunch becomes bread, smoke, and whatever dignity remains unburned. Even rest is fake, because every pause still includes listening for cracks, watching smoke color, and wondering whether the ground moves slightly again. The work is repetitive enough to numb your brain, but never safe enough to relax your body for more than a few seconds at a time. At some point, you realize you are basically negotiating with a dirt hill while hoping the dirt hill respects your effort and suffering. The mound never answers, but it definitely judges, mostly by leaking smoke at the worst possible time and ruining your entire day again. You rarely leave the site now, because even a short trip could undo everything and reduce your hard work to mocking black rubble instantly. Food gets simpler, sleep gets shorter, and your expectations shrink until surviving the day starts feeling like a professional achievement. At night, hidden fire glows under the dirt, making the mound look suspiciously alive in ways you would rather not think about too much. You start seeing strange shapes in the smoke, which is probably exhaustion, though the smoke does not exactly help your argument. Travelers passing nearby avoid you, because you smell like smoke, look half-haunted, and live alone in the trees for work. When you go to town for supplies, people notice your smell before your face, which is efficient but not especially flattering or socially helpful. Shopkeepers serve you quickly, politely, and with the subtle body language usually reserved for open sewage and unpredictable animals. Your clothes never clean properly, because soot has already fused itself into the fabric like it signed a permanent contract. Even water does not save you, It just rearranges the smell into a damper, somehow more insulting version of the same problem. Be honest, would you take this job for a few coins, or is your sanity still worth more than medieval industrial survival wages? Children stare openly because children are honest, and honest reactions to your profession are never emotionally generous or comforting. Adults are worse because they pretend not to judge while quietly stepping farther away the moment you get too close. The town needs charcoal desperately, yet still treats the person making it like an unfortunate side effect best kept outdoors. You start visiting less often because every supply run reminds you that usefulness and respect are completely different currencies in this world. Eventually, the forest feels easier than people, which sounds poetic until you realize it is actually deeply depressing and not romantic at all. The silence out there stops feeling empty and starts feeling familiar, which should alarm you more than it probably does now. Your social life is now mostly smoke patterns, bird sounds, and the occasional internal argument about whether the mound hates you. You no longer miss town the same way, because rejection is easier to forget when trees do not bother pretending to like you. Isolation changes you slowly, until standing alone in soot feels normal, and actual society feels weirdly loud and suspicious instead. That is the cruel part. This job does not just separate you from people, it trains you to stop expecting them entirely over time. You begin to realize the forest is not the thing trapping you here. The job itself already did that long before you noticed. The physical damage builds quietly, first as coughing, then burning eyes. Then the constant feeling that breathing itself has become exhausting labor. Your lungs feel heavier every week, like the smoke has started renting space inside your chest and refuses to ever leave again. Your eyes sting constantly, watering in the heat and haze until the entire forest looks blurred, distorted, and quietly hostile toward your existence. Soot settles into every crease of your skin, turning your hands rough, cracked, and permanently stained like visible proof of your choices. Burns happen often because heat hides under the mound, and hidden heat is never interested in teaching gentle or forgiving lessons. One careless step too close and the ground radiates sudden pain, reminding you instantly this hill is trying to cook everything near it. Sometimes part of the mound shifts unexpectedly, sending dirt sliding down and forcing you backward before the situation becomes much worse. When that happens, your heart reacts first, because collapse means danger, wasted labor, and another exhausting fight against something invisible. Rainstorms are chaos, drenching the soil, weakening the structure, and turning your entire worksite into a wet, unstable, slippery mess. Windstorms are worse, because sudden oxygen surges can wake the fire violently and undo days of careful, slow-burning control instantly. You scramble with dirt and shovel, trying to calm the mound before it tears open and exposes everything you tried to manage. Sometimes sparks burst through cracks, reminding you the fire inside is not passive. It is just waiting for a better opportunity. There is no one here to help if things go wrong. Just you, your tools, and the very real possibility of failing completely alone. Even small injuries matter more out here, because pain does not stop the work. It just makes every next movement slower and worse. Your back hurts, your chest hurts, your hands hurt, and somehow the fire still expects the same level of control from you. Fatigue creates mistakes. Mistakes create more work, and more work creates more fatigue, until the job traps you completely. The truly disturbing part is adaptation, because after enough time, even this level of suffering starts feeling routine and almost normal. And that might be the worst part, because once this feels normal, you stop questioning how bad it actually is anymore. Charcoal is still necessary though, because blacksmiths need it, kitchens need it, and warm houses depend on it without asking questions. People enjoy cooked food, forged iron, and heated homes without ever imagining the half-choked worker feeding smoke deep inside the forest. Your labor powers comfort you barely experience yourself, which feels like history's favorite joke told quietly at your expense every day. The town depends completely on your product, while pretending the person producing it belongs somewhere between rumor and unpleasant inconvenience. When the burn is finally done, you break the mound open carefully, revealing blackened wood like something dug out from a shallow grave. The charcoal is fragile, valuable, and proof that several days of slow poisoning were not technically wasted, which is not very comforting. You load everything up and carry it back toward town, where the product receives far more respect than its exhausted creator ever will. Blacksmith fires burn brighter because of you, ovens stay hot because of you, and nobody ever thinks gratitude is necessary. You stand near the edge of town watching ordinary life continue smoothly on fuel paid for with your lungs in isolation. The clean world runs on dirty labor, and your job exists mainly to keep that truth conveniently hidden from everyone else. And somehow, this still is not the worst job in history, which should honestly worry you more than anything else so far. Tomorrow there will be more wood to stack, more dirt to shovel, and more smoke waiting patiently to move into your body again. The forest will still be there, silent and patient, like a coworker that never speaks but constantly makes everything worse. The mound will still need watching, because fire never learned mercy, and your entire schedule still belongs completely to it. The smell will still cling to you, making even clean clothes feel guilty before you even have time to wear them properly. And somehow, this still is not the worst job in history. Wait until you see the next one.